Hello all and welcome to Thread Solution. In today's session, we'll be seeing some practical scenarios as how to create a report and how this we are going to take a sample report of an HR department and how you can analyze the data and which type of chart is preferred, and in this analysis how you can make a report look good and feel. So we'll be demonstrating a small demo using the HR department data. So let's go with this using a get data from the Excel sheet. As we are very familiar how to extract the data, let's open the Power BI desktop, click on get data or on the Excel workbook where it will allow us to get the data. So here, once you go, so this is the HR data where I'm selecting. So the data is getting loaded. Once the data is getting loaded, it will get displayed where you can see the HR data and the data table. So here is the data which contains with the name, gender, age, rating, date joined, department, salary, country. So here, when you click on the transfer data, a pop-up window, which is a Power Query editor, which gets opened where you have an option where you can change the data, or else you can add the column, or else you can make some modification and you can see if there are any null value. So in that null values where you can fill the data. So here, since I would like to go on the name change, since there is no first name and the last name, it is directly given with the first name. Just on the name column, I would like to add another column. So I'll go with the add column and where I will go with the extract function. Okay, in the add column, go with the extract where I click with the first character and the count of the character, since I would like to go with the first split of the name alphabet. So it's get created. Since the first name start here is with P and the character, the column of the first letter has been created. So I would like to go and rename this. So to rename, I'll go and just give the name as first letter. So here you can see where the column we have been added. So once we need to go to the home ribbon, go on the close and apply, click on it where it gets open, click on close and apply. Once you're applied, you can see there is the data or the column which has been getting loaded. Okay, so here in this data, it gives, if it's a small scale of data, it gives the number of rows, how many are loaded, and whatever the data you have, the fields and the data table, it appears on the field pane. So in the field, you can see as we have the data table name as data and the import mode, which is of Excel, and it gives when was it import. Once you click on this, on the data table, where you can see the fields of this data gets opened. So as we have created the first letter, you can see the first letter column getting reflected. So since we have the HR data loaded successful, but before loading that, we need to analyze on what basis we need to do. So first we will analyze, first we will see we have here as the age, country, date joined, department, first letter, gender, name, rating. So I would like to know the department count. Okay, so we don't know in how many members are there in each department. So on the page 1, I'll just rename it as department 1. Department Okay, the page is renamed as department and the file will rename as employee data. So the report is saved as employee data in PBX file and the page name we have uh, named as department. So now to get the people count, we will take a visualization. So I will go for this. I will take a visualization of scattered column. Okay, in the scattered column, since we want the department count, so I will go with the department. Okay, and in this department, we want to know the complete count of the department, but we don't have what is the count of the department. When you go with the tabular form, you can see finance, HR, procurement, sales. These are the department, but you don't know what is the count of the employee. So for that, let's create a measure. So you do an option where you can click on this and it gives option where you can create a measure. So in this measure, I would like to know the count. So head count, okay, head count with the function as count rows, count rows of the table data. So we are using the table which is data. Okay. So this is the way where you get the data. So once create, so here you have an option where you create it. So you can see the data count has been created. So here now I can see the head count and the department. So I will extract on x-axis, I will keep the department and on y-axis, I will go with the head count. So you can see, since we have seen in a tabular form, we have different departments. There are 5 departments. In 5 departments, the head count of each. So once you hover on this, on the head count, so you can see on procurement, the head count is of 55. When you go with the website, then the count is of 54 employees. Similarly, in terms of finance, there are 38 members. And for the sales, there are 28. And for the HR, there are 8. So this is how where you can get the department wise and the count of members in each department. Apart from this, no, I would like to have only the employee count. Then we do an option where you can take a card. In this card, where you can give the value, you can just drag the head count. Since we have we have created a measure to the head count. So this is the complete employee count which holds a count of 183. And this, as we know, the Power BI page, it's an interactive page. Since we have 2 dashboards, one is the scattered column and the parent. So if I click on this procurement department, so the page is becoming interactive. So by default, it's showing the head count as 55. So here also 55. No, if I want to go with the HR, then the count of HR is 8. So therefore, this is an interactive page where it shows. So this is the way where we need to analyze in a given data. So this is the first one. Next, I would like to go with the gender distribution by department. So we want to know how many male or female is working. So let me create the another page as gender distribution. So I have named this page as gender. So in this gender, so we would like to have the same as we have the count. department and the same. So I'll go with the same scattered column. In this scattered column, since we are going with the department base, gender distribution in the department base. So on the x-axis, I will go with the department, and next I'll go with the count, and in the legend, I will be giving the gender. Okay, so here once I've given, so where it shows the discrimination of the gender. In the procurement, we can see there are 23 females, whereas the gender count of male is 32. Similarly, in other departments, and you have the gender count and the male count and the unique base where the data is with splitting. Apart from this, we do have another option where if you want more familiar, instead of hovering it, you do have another option where you can go or you can take the other chart. So let me go with the clustered chart. So let me select the other one, the clustered one. So just to find the differences where you'll get an easy understanding. So in the cluster, same as in the department wise, with the head count and the gender. So let me drag this gender over here. So gender. So this is quite a clean bit, okay, where you can see the ratio of female and male representing in a different bar instead of in the same bar. So this is how where you can split the gender. So instead of this, where you can have the other option where I want only the male and female displacement instead of going, I do not want to reflect the others. So since we have the idea of the filters, in the filters, once you go with the filter on this visual, under the gender field, on the basic filtering, if you select male and female, you can see only those data. Apart from this, the other data is removed. So this is the other option using the filters where you can do the data. So next analysis. So this is regarding the gender. Next, we'll have the other analysis of age. So you would like to know age of each employee. So for that, we'll create another page and the page name will be renamed as age. Okay. So in this age, let's create a scattered column chart. In this scattered column chart, where on the x-axis, you'll be provided with the age field. X-axis on age, and on y-axis, that is the head count. So here, since the age, it gives a transition where it comes between the field of, at the age of 90, we have the head count of 2. The 2 employees who holds the age between 15 to 20. If you go only with the single bar on the age 19, you have the employee holding 2. And the highest range of this employee counters, employees who is at the age of 33, where the head count of the employees around 20 members. So in this way, where you can find the age count. Coming to the other this thing, next we'll find what is the average scale. The average scale of maximum, minimum. So you would like to know the average salary on each department. So the maximum, minimum, and average. So I would like to rename the page with the maximum, minimum, and average salary base. So similarly here, since we have only the measure, the summation as salary, okay, which is a whole number. But to find the minimum data salary, we need to create measure. So to create a measure, you do an option, multiple option. You can go here and create a new measure. In this measure, since we are going with the minimum value, so I will give an option as minimum sal. So minimum sal. So using the average function, taking the value minimum, and we need to give the data. So it's the data table. In this data, you would like to calculate the salary. So as we know, DAX, it's a single line formula. So by default, once we select the aggregation function, by default, it gives what needs to be selected. So the table and the field name. So this is where the minimum salary is created. Similarly, if you want to create an maximum average salary, we need to repeat the same function. So to create a maximum salary, just click on the new measure where you will go here and go and rename the measure name as maximum salary. And this maximum salary, we are using a aggregation function as max, and this similar as we have done with the maximum with the data name. We have the data table name and the salary. So this is how the maximum function is been created. Next we have where you can create the other measure with the average. So this is an rename the page. I mean the measure name as average sal, which is equal to average function by the data salary. So in this way, where you have created 3 different measures. So now let's create the visualization or the table format where you can see the minimum salary, the maximum salary, and the average salary. So I would like to select a table. Okay. In this table, I would like to go with some field by giving the columns. So I would like to go with the field name. First, I would like to go with the name of the person. Next, in department. And what is the minimum salary? The minimum salary. Next comes the maximum salary and the average salary. So in this way, where you can go. So here you can see. So the minimum salary ranges for particular department. If you want, so I can just go and filter. If I want to see only on the HR department and click on HR. So the minimum salary is 11,000 change and the maximum is also the same, and it gives an average scale of this salary. Similarly, if you want to see for the other department, it gives the sales department holding the minimum and maximum salaries. Okay, so this is the other option where you can find the minimum and maximum. Next, I would like to know, since in the Excel sheet where we have covered, we have the country. So just let me take with the table and with the country field. So we have the country field as India and New Zealand. So we would like to know in both the country, who are the top 5 earning people in each country. So for that, let me create a table. So in this table, where we will go with the salary and the name we will select. So let me select, just give me a second. So just rename the page, and where you view it here as top 5 earners. In this top 5 earners, I will take a tabular, the table. In this table, I'll go with the name field, next with the salary field, the salary field. Next, I will go with the country. Country. Okay. So in this way, we have the country. But we would like to have who has the top 5 members who are earning the most. So in this, so if I go with the filter on this particular table, I would like to split how many members are in India are holding. So if I, this is a tabular form of India. So this is a table which contains of India. I would like to have the count of the people. So I will go with the card, and this in card, since we have the head count, I'll go. So the total count is 183. This is what it's given. But when we go with the country, so if I select the country, based on the country, it gets splitted. Since the page is an interactive where you can see, where it gives the salary, country and all. Next is, I would like to know who are the top 5 earners. So as we know, in the filter, we do have the top 5, okay, earners by the value salary. So by the value salary. So here it gives the top 5 earners of India, employees who are earning around 1 lakh plus. So this is the way where we can use the filter and you can get the top 5 earners. Next, similarly, we need to create for the country New Zealand. After this, I would like to know what is the performance rating of the uh, employees or the company growth. For this, where we use a trend method using a line chart and or an area chart. So let me go with the company trends. So rename the page. This is the company growth. So in this company growth, where we want the date of the employee join and the head count. So we need to select a line chart. So by selecting the line chart or the aerial chart, where this is the format which is used to get the this thing. So on the x-axis, I'll go with the date joined field, and next I'll go with the head count on the y-axis. So here it gives what is the count in particular year. So in 2020, you can see if you just hover over on this, there is a count of 37 members. Similarly, in the 32, there is an increase in the employee, so which has gone up to 82. Next, in the 2022, you can see a decrement of the employees. There may be some resignation done or termination occurred. Whereas in the head count, there is a very less decrement of the appraisal, which goes with 2. So in this way, where you can show the company growth. Next, as we have seen, how would you split the employee names? How to utilize the filter the names of the employee. Since there are a number of employees, so you want to know on particular alphabet how many employees are there. So for that, let me rename the page as employee letter. Okay. So since we have already created a field as first letter, so let me show. Let me take a tabular box, the table box. Here in the table, I will go with the, since we are very much curious to know the employee name, how many employees are there, and in department base, let me select the department. Okay, so here we have 183 names and 5 different departments. But I would like to know how many of the alphabets contains, for example, if alphabet contains A, how many names are there? So for that, the other one is I will take a card, since we have a head count already there. So it is easier where we can find. So it shows the total count of the member. Now I would like to add a slicer, since we would like to have a count on this number. So take a slicer. Mhm. Name and department. So next, let me add a slicer to it. And then in this slicer, as we created the first letter, let me put that field over here. Okay, so the total count of the table is 183. I would go with the first letter. So it gives a name count of 14 members whose name starts with A. If I go with G, then it gives a count of G. How many of them are there in particular department? So this is how you can filter the employee details. So next, After doing this, next, if you want, what is the for different countries, you can do it similarly. So this is a how where you need to analysis the data and you need to identify. So this is a rough this thing for different data where you can calculate and you can represent. Since so thank you all. Let me connect with you all with the other session. Thank you.